You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get sad again.
Welcome to the political jungle. I'm JD.
This is Stacy. No one is safe. No one is spared.
Lock up the children.
And the old folk.
Welcome to the world of libertarian conservatarian.
You know what they say, baby. Once you go to CPAC, you're going to need yourself a Z-Pack. Good Thursday evening, whatever the hell time it is, March 16th, 2016. JD and Stacy here. Game on that K98 Talk. Special post-debate, really bad audio edition here. Welcome back to all our political geeks, big freaks, and back alley sneaks. Everybody within the sound of my very, very sick, very, very bad voice. You know what to do. Get over to K98Talk.org right now. Get in that chat room. Say hello to Stacy. Say hello to the smartest, drunkest, after this awful debate listening to political audience in the business. Tonight, Stacy and I are going to be joined by that Ricky Tikki Tavi, Rick Robinson, and that K98 Talk, as well as that Lou, that Bell River, that from that office hours and from whom the bell tolls, doing a little post-debate and analysis for as long as my voice will hang out with us this evening. But remember here, Stady and Stacy, game on, part of that Conservative Commandos radio network, breaking down the levees of your mind. That's right, baby. Welcome, everybody. I got everybody here with us?
I'm here.
I'm here.
Yeah. Nice choice of music, JD.
Thank you very much, baby. Better than my voice. Tonight we're going to be talking about that Xanax festival we just watched there over on CNN. Once again, there ain't no altruists. We just got a bunch of politicians. Ben Carson selling everybody out. Donald Trump trying to pass out some Jonestown flavored Kool-Aid, and the moderators just sucking it up. But I got to tell you something. That was awful. I miss Ben Carson. At least I could sleep through Ben Carson. I had to do radio tonight. Couldn't even have a good orgasm and go to sleep. No, this garbage.
Well, you know, we made an executive decision during the last debate to go ahead and broadcast because they'd all been such a freaking train wreck up till then. Turns out we missed the one with all the fireworks, and today, of all days, after may I personally thank and say, oh, isn't that wonderful, to Donald J. Trump and Corey Lewandowski for reposting every meme that the conservatives have been fighting for the last 8 years about us being racists and misogynists. Everybody decided to quiet down at the debate and not be complete noobs.
Nothing like commentary without context. Remember, guys, we're not just here live Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Game On. We do it again Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sundays, we shift gear, 11 a.m. with some Bloody Marys and broadsheets. Your cure for that mainstream media hangover. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Drive time, WNJC, leading into that Yahoo Sports. I think Stacey and I might have to cut another show with that ocean in the background. Remember, guys, after the show, not during it, you get over to Spreaker.com, hashtag JD and Stacey, JDANDSTACEY. Find out a catalog of everything we've been doing here with that Ricky Ticky Tavi Rick Robinson. So why don't you pick back up and explain to the audience what you were talking about with the Corey Lewandowski comment?
Well, Corey Lewandowski is Donald J. Trump's campaign manager / thug who decided to manhandle a female reporter at an event, I guess, day before or last night sometime. And now has been trashing her all day using everybody's favorite conservative noob, Charles C. Johnson, also known as Chuck Johnson, permanently banned from Twitter, to write hit pieces on her after she has posted pictures of the bruises on her arm that Corey Lewandowski gave her while trying to push her to the floor for asking a question about affirmative action. So that was a really fun day. So you expect to go into this debate and see a little bit of fireworks, maybe some of the zip and ridiculousness we've seen before, and there's Donald Trump acting like he took a Valium before it started.
Pretty sure he did.
It was a lewd, man. It was a lewd. It wasn't a Valium. It was a lewd. Come on.
Oh, they're not available anymore. Sorry.
Oh, come on. He's old enough. You know he's got some stash somewhere.
I don't know. But, you know, I guess, you know, just notables for me. I don't know how we really want to kick it off, but here he is, again, stumping his absolutely ridiculous economic plan. CNN moderator said at the beginning of the debate, jobs and the economy are the number one issue for the Republican voters. And he's talking about progressive taxes and tariffs, which reduces investment and raises prices for everyone. I just don't see why people are buying this.
Right, yeah. A relative snoozer with a Republican front runner pushing liberal values.
What a lovely summary, Lou.
Thanks.
That was so awesome.
I'm known for my concise summaries. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it was, and it was a relative snoozer when you compare it to the other debates.
Well, I mean, when you take a look at what he is actually proposing, and he's been proposing it for months, and people actually got to question him on it tonight because we weren't worried about Little Marco and Lion Ted. You know, what he is talking about is if the Chinese or whichever other country he's upset with at the time don't behave, and behave, I'm assuming, means stop manipulating currency or playing funny games in the trade world. You know, we're going to implement tariffs on their goods. Well, tariffs on their goods just really translate to price increases on the side of the consumer here in the States. And U.S. prices don't stay really far below the level of the tariffs. So if I'm a domestic producer and we're going to charge 45 or 35 or 25 or even 10% more for a good from China or Mexico, my price is going to be at 9% more. It's called supply and demand and all those wonderful little pricing strategies that go in Econ 102. But bigger than that, back to Econ 101, the dumbest comment I heard him make was, well, and if they don't want to play, we'll just build these plants here and we'll start making stuff here. Donald Trump doesn't run any organization that manufactures anything. So when you start looking at what China actually makes and ships here, or Japan actually makes and ships here, or other countries actually make and ship here, A, we don't have the raw materials for some of it. B, we don't necessarily have the workforce to support it. And C, those things aren't put up in a month or two. I mean, the whole concept that he was saying up there on the stage, it sounds so simplistic, but it is so much more complex than that. That it's, as someone who is hired in manufacturing and served as a director in manufacturing organizations, I'm just sitting there watching this going, you, sir, know absolutely nothing about this. It ain't a hotel.
Exactly. And you mentioned Econ 101. It pushes the price of goods so far beyond the level of diminishing returns that the businesses that sell them here will not be able to sell them here. It would implode our economy, basically, what he's proposing.
Massive inflation.
Mm-hmm, massive.
Mm-hmm. Rick?
Yep, I'm still here.
Are you guys there, or is it just the girls talking tonight?
I'm still here. I don't know. Is JD still here?
I think that the CNN moderators must have been told before the debate that these words are outlawed. Trump said this about you. What do you have to say about him?
Yeah, no, we got pretty much none of that.
None of that.
I think that actually lent itself very well to a much more subdued debate. But I mean, I'm sorry. I think Donald Trump got owned on economics and foreign policy.
Well, that's the thing. When you took that prelude to every question out of the debate, it made it almost a real debate, a snoozer, but debates are snoozers. Typically they're supposed to be. But it also ensured that Trump got owned on everything.
Well, I mean, just what Marco Rubio did to him on Cuba.
Oh, that was great, man.
Wasn't that awesome?
that was awesome. Yeah, this is a Cuban deal. I mean, let's start with free speech and
free elections and stop putting people in jail.
Yes, exactly, and return the felons or that are there in Cuba escaping justice from the U.S., starting with the cop killer from New York. Well, that was great.
Is anybody surprised that Donald Trump didn't even really think about, giving free speech to Cuba? I mean, come on, he's trying to take it away in the U.S.
I know,
absolutely,
right?
Because then they'll start writing hit pieces about him in Cuba, and he wouldn't like that.
Yeah, no, we can't ever, ever, ever impeach dear leader. I don't know. I figure at the rate I'm going, does anybody know what FEMA region I'm in? Because I'm almost sure there's a seat reserved for me at this point.
We're in the same region. We'll be in the same camp. Yeah,
I'm so glad I have a bunk mate.
Yeah, we could be roomies. Stacey, I doubt they'd even let us on the same side of the camp. They'd have a fence between us.
Live from FEMA Camp 23, Cell H, Bunk 22, it's Stacey and Lou.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they'll give us internet access so we can broadcast.
I
doubt
it. No, but for those of you who missed it, Donald Trump did get asked questions tonight about the pledge that he made people make that looked a little bit Sig Heil. A little, but the Today Show was totally wrong for making that analogy. I heard he asked again at a second rally, and people were so offended by the way it was covered that they refused to do it. So I thought that was pretty entertaining.
That's extremely entertaining.
Donald Trump has made several comments at several rallies about wanting to punch protesters in the face, beat the HE double hockey stick out of them, and a bunch of other really awesome kinds of things. And apparently, yesterday or the day before, I can't remember exactly when, one protester took him at his word and literally snuck up on a protester who was quietly leaving the building and, sucker punched him in the face. So that went really well. They did ask him about that. But they did not ask him about his campaign manager manhandling a young female reporter from Breitbart.
Well, I mean, why? I mean, he's never going to have to apologize anyway, so.
No, he's never going to have to apologize, and he's never going to have to fire said campaign manager. Unlike Ted Cruz, whose campaign manager maybe did some borderline kind of ads that might have been a little bit over the top, but certainly never put his hands on anyone. But, okay. All of these things combined with his, I guess, angst over the First Amendment.
Well, there were other candidates on the stage tonight. I mean, I don't know how long we are into the show, and it's just the Donald Trump hour, and I don't know why, because I don't think that he had any substance.
No, he didn't have. Well, I mean, the substance that he has on the economy is a really bad idea, and the substance that he puts out there on foreign policy, he was owned on Israel by Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and they both owned him again on Cuba. And they routinely have done this, but I think the big change this time is really not the noise and the ridiculousness overlaying the commentary.
What do you mean?
Well, people were not interrupting one another, so you could actually hear what a candidate had to say. Their full whatever they gave them tonight, I think it was 1 minute and 15 seconds. They actually had 1 minute and 15 seconds to respond without somebody yelling at them when they were trying to speak, so you actually heard them. And there was not just the really base insults going back and forth during the whole discussion where people would get distracted by the insult or the flash or the boom or the bang. They were actually able to say what needed to be said. And I think Ted Cruz did a good job several times of saying to Donald, especially around Israel and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, you don't do that by being neutral with the only liberal democracy in the region who gives us intelligence, who gives us military strength, who gives us, he went right down. What does Israel actually give back? And that's something Donald Trump either isn't aware of or never even brings into the equation.
I'd say probably not aware of, but, to JD's point, I think that, there were 3 other candidates on the stage, and the point is all 3 of them owned Trump on something or everything, or one question or another, or every question, that everyone did better. So you could actually name 3 winners, 1 loser for this debate, for this first really civil debate of the entire Republican primary.
I really felt like they treated John Kasich a little bit like they were treating Ben Carson. I don't think he got certainly as much speaking time as the rest of them did.
No, I didn't think so. I didn't think so either. But to move on to other candidates, like JD said, the Marco Rubio was very much the happy warrior tonight. I think that his questions were great and on point and snappy, but he smiled, maybe because he's in friendly territory. But there were more smiles and more laughter, and cracked a couple of jokes, but he was very much a happy warrior. And, I'm somebody who loves a happy warrior, so I would probably, give him an A+ for this debate. I think Ted Cruz is always, dead on point, and I think that he did very well with a lot of his answers as well. But I actually enjoyed seeing, and I'm glad to be on talking about a civil debate. And snoozer, yeah, debates should be snoozers, because they shouldn't be yelling matches, because you get no policy, you get no substance out of a debate that is a knock down, drag out fight. We got more policy and more substance out of this debate.
All right, everybody, hold on to them thoughts. Everybody, hold on to them drinks. JD, Stacy, Ricky, Tiki, Tavi, Rick Robinson, and Lou Bell, that Bell River here on K98 Talk with our CNN post-debate special. Got to pay a couple bills. Coming back in about 3.5 minutes.
One break coming up.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. This is the most transparent administration in history.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point?
You got a business. You didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear Barack Obama's speech, Mike, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
Welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
From the Vikings of Norway to my home down south to Washington, D.C., I've been around. I've seen it all, and I've come out on top. You better beware, for all you know, the bell tolls for you. Enter the bell tower or watch your step. 8 p.m. Thursdays, K98 Talk.
Welcome back to our special GOP debate, post-debate special edition here of Game On, part of that Conservative Commandos radio network here in that K98 Talk. Everybody right now, get over to K98Talk.org. Get in that chat room. Say hello to Stacy. Remember, we're not just here Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do it again Sunday morning, Friday, 5 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM. Serving Philadelphia, Southern Jersey, Northern Delaware for them 4.2 million listeners after the show, kids. Remember, get over to Spreaker.com. Hashtag JD and Stacy, JDANDSTACEY. find a catalog of everything we've been doing here with that Ricky Ticky Tavi Rick Robinson. I want to welcome back our panelists tonight. Stacy, as always, Belle River, that Lou from that. What do you do, Lou? What shows you do here? You do Office Hours and For Whom the Bell Tolls, right?
Yes.
Dr. Lou?
Yeah, we got the boss, that Ricky Ticky Tavi Rick Robinson. Why don't you guys pick back up on what you were saying about the debate and your take on it?
Well, I think we were talking specifically about John Kasich, and I will say this. The one thing that John Kasich does not get credit for and does not maybe articulate the way that he needs to, he tries, oh Lord, he tries, is his experience with the budget process, his accomplishments in D.C., and I don't know if it's just because he's confined to such a short period to answer a question, but when you look at his actual accomplishments when he was in Congress and what he was able to achieve in a bipartisan way in terms of balancing the budget, and then when he went back to Ohio, the actual turnaround he made in that state, you're talking about some pretty significant conservative principles being put into that. Everybody wants to talk about expanding Medicaid and, that we want to take care of people with mental health issues, and he's kind of just this really nice guy. But when you take a look at what he accomplished both in Washington, D.C. and in Ohio as governor, there's some pretty conservative principles at work there in terms of how it's accomplished and what the actual results are.
Right, not to mention the fact that because he voted for term limits, he term limited it himself. Now, he was in Congress for quite a while, but after he voted for that, and even though it failed, he retired because of that.
Right. But, I mean, when you look at, adding, and I think he screwed up tonight, I missed it, but a couple of people caught it, 400,000 jobs in Ohio, some high-tech industries coming in, going from, a significant deficit to a surplus. Those are not small accomplishments to make as a governor, and they're not done by expanding, he hasn't raised taxes. He hasn't done the things that a more progressive Republican would do. Those aren't small achievements, and they're not easily accomplished. It's kind of when you look at Rick Perry as governor of Texas or Scott Walker as governor of Wisconsin. Those folks have managed some pretty significant space and economy when you think about it. And, Republicans generally had a preference for a governor until most recently. And it's kind of interesting to watch how that's all really being underplayed when it's really some significant achievement.
Rick, did you just come on the show to take up a spot on the Skype call?
Really? You've said about 3 syllables more than I have.
Well, I want to make sure I'm giving everybody their due time. I'm just trying to manage this thing here. Why don't you give your take here?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I have to agree for the most part. I mean, I was one of the ones that caught Kasich's mistake because I knew he probably meant 400,000. He said 400, so I had to remember about it on Twitter. I think the one thing I'm the most proud of tonight is he actually did not say my dad was a mailman. I have to give him credit for that. He never once went to the fallback position of his dad being a civil service worker. I think he actually handed Trump his rear end, at least on one occasion. I still don't really think he does himself any favors by remaining in the race, and at this point I'm sure Rubio is probably looking for an exit, or should be. At this point it really does need to get down to a 2-person race, and whether anybody likes it or not at this point, the most obvious answers are going to be Cruz and Trump.
Yeah, I just, but Rubio's not dropping out until he gets embarrassed in Florida, and Kasich isn't going anywhere till Ohio. I mean, you don't have altruists running; they're politicians. End of story.
Well, no, I understand, but that was kind of where I was going with it, because there used to be a time when folks would put country above party and country above self, and they really don't do that anymore. Now it's just, I'm in this for me.
Well, and let's not forget that all those delegates have to go somewhere at the convention, so they're...
What does he have, 51?
Rubio? Yeah, 50, 50?
Kasich, Rubio's got more than 100. Kasich has in the 50s. If you add them all together, I tweeted it today, Stacey, it's 560. It's 100 and some odd more than Trump, Trump has to win over 80% of the delegates left to get to the magic number.
I mean, I don't know. What's you guys' take? Do you think he's got... I mean, he's got to basically run the table at this point. Do you think he's got a shot at it, or...
Running the table? No, not really. I think that's why he was so subdued tonight, though, because he knows he's got to pretty much run the table to get there.
Cruz?
No, Trump.
Well, he's already been running the table. I mean, you think it's going to go all the way to the convention?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's what my gut tells me. But
I honestly think at this point Rubio has been told to hold out till the convention. I mean, I have to give you my honest take on it. This is going to be my moment where my tinfoil hat gets...
Where's his money going to come from?
From establishment folks that are probably funding his campaign this entire time.
He's got a pack.
I think he is the establishment's chosen one. I think he's been told to hang into the convention. They'll get it a brokered convention, and somehow they're going to get it to Rubio. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least half of them are telling the same thing to Kasich. It's the only thing that makes sense to me for those two still being in when you're looking at their numbers and you're looking at their pathways, and there's no clear way to get there. The only way either one of those two make it is through a brokered convention. But what nobody's telling them, and I don't think anybody's telling them this, is if it goes to a brokered convention, that means everybody's back on the table. And that's not going to bode well for any of them. But that's just me.
Well, you're not thinking that they're going to bring up Jeb Bush, dust him off, and try to prop him up. I mean, that.
No, I don't think they're going to they wouldn't bring an outsider into the convention, no, because I think that would be revolt. It would have to be somebody who, and that's why I don't think it would be Rubio. I think it would be Cruz, because he's going to be closer to Trump. But don't forget that, if it's not there on the first ballot, which then it's the second ballot, they're free to vote for who they want to. I don't think all these delegates are going to vote for Trump, given the choice. And I don't think that they'd vote for Rubio knowing how low his number is most likely going to be going into the convention. I think that delegates, being delegates and given history, would vote for Cruz. That's just my gut again, because he's close and he's remaining close in delegate count to Trump.
Before we go to mostly winner-take-all states, at that point Trump wins by a vote. And you get all the delegates. There's no, participation trophy for coming in a close second.
Yeah, a lot of those primaries are closed too, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
I mean, so far to this point, Cruz and Rubio too have done better in caucus states and closed primary states than Trump has.
Right, but then then there's this fictitious 60 or 65% of the GOP. That don't want Donald Trump. And then after, when you see the arguments that Ben Carson voters were making before he decided to endorse tomorrow, that they're going over to Donald Trump, that blows that whole proposition and math up right there. I just don't
I mean, the 65 number is not fictitious. If you look at the various state elections to this point, he's run around 35% in the states he's run, and when he's lost big.
But the conventional wisdom is that number comes from adding what people perceive to be the anti-Trump vote. So if you have people who were Ben Carson supporters before Ben Carson left the race and haven't voted yet, and now you're starting to see that, well, their natural number two in a lot of cases was Donald Trump. That does skew that math somewhat. I just think the math of this...
It skews it some, but, I mean, by the time he left the race, Carson wasn't pulling out of much ahead of 5 or 6%.
Yeah, I think it was 5, Stacey.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at it, okay, so some portion and maybe a significant portion of Carson voters were going to go that way, but even that, in a lot of the states he's winning, isn't necessarily taking him way over that 35% threshold. I mean, that 35% number, when you look at the total math across all of the primaries that have been done, is not that far off. About 65% of the GOP is voting for someone else.
Right. And what I'm saying is that I think people are deluding themselves that there is this mythical, if you didn't vote for Donald Trump, then those other numbers automatically go to somebody who is not Donald Trump. And what I'm saying is that is bearing out not necessarily.
And I'm saying I'm not necessarily surprised that a portion of Carson voters would go to Trump, because those were both the outsider insurgent kind of outsider candidates, right? They've never been in government. They've never held public office. And that is part of what was attractive about them. People who are not naturally caustic probably gravitated more towards Ben Carson as opposed to Donald Trump. But if somebody being an outsider was your number one criteria, then your natural choice is going to be Donald Trump. Everybody else has been in Washington or is currently in public office. If it was something else, you may gravitate towards someone else. I mean, I don't think Ben Carson's voters are moving anywhere in mass. I believe a portion of them may go to Trump for that reason, but I don't see a significant portion of Marco Rubio voters going to Trump.
But again,
not after all the little Marco comments. No.
And again, like I said, this election cycle has proven every one of us wrong time and time again. I mean, that's my only point to it, is that you just wouldn't think that you would see natural allies in people who were voting against Trump to flock to him as a close second. I mean, that's the point that I was making about it.
Yeah, I think you're right there, JD.
No, and I that would be surprising given the interpersonal differences between the two, but it depends on what your number one criteria was. Why did you like him?
Well, I mean, I don't honestly know, because here's my take on it. Yes, Carson is going to supposedly come out and endorse Trump tomorrow, but is that automatically going to mean that everybody that was going to vote for Carson is suddenly going to vote for Trump? I really don't see that happening, not with all of the mean-spirited crap that Trump said about Carson. That's why I'm honestly surprised that Carson's endorsing him. I'm just curious as to what he's getting out of it for the endorsement.
And do we know that for a fact?
Yes, he said it. He said it tonight in the debate.
And the only reason he's doing it tomorrow is to control the news cycle post-debate, so nobody can talk about how Trump really didn't have any solid policy or any other kind of answers.
Meh.
No, I wasn't. I definitely wasn't, shall we say, I was more than surprised and very much disappointed when that came out on Carson. I was a little bit stunned, actually.
Yeah, me too.
But, as you take a look at this, I'm at the point where I don't even know what to pray for. Or,
SMOD 2016, ladies and gentlemen.
SMOD 2016.
Vermin. I'm just praying nobody gets to 1237, because I think if we get to a second ballot in a convention, that it's definitely not going to be Trump. And that's just a gut feeling.
When was the last time we got to a second ballot in a convention?
Ford Reagan.
Ford? Okay.
76 or 80.
Yeah.
And we didn't die.
No.
We did it in 76, and then the Democrats did it in 80. Ted Kennedy did it in 80 with that ballot with Carter. That's how they ended up splitting that, and Carter took that loss.
Like I said, I just, everybody acts like if we don't have a winner going to the convention, it's the end of the world, and I guess I just don't see it that way.
I don't either. No, I actually see it as a good thing. It's something that I'm hoping for. That nobody gets 1237, that there is a second ballot, because I really believe that those delegates that are, a lot of them that are, because of their primaries, dedicated or obligated to Trump, would really rather not vote. Knowing a few delegates, I really think that they're probably not wanting to vote for Trump. I think they want to vote for somebody that they think is going to win. But I don't think that they think that Trump is that person.
Well, and every poll would say that they're correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you take a look back at the debate, some things were actually discussed a little more in detail tonight than they had been in the past. Heard a little bit more about people's education thoughts around Common Core. Also heard a little bit more about, sorry, Rick. Heard a little bit more about, I guess, specific foreign policy initiatives that we never really got the details on before.
Why don't you just hold that, and then we'll pick back up with that on the other side of the break. Cool?
Okay, cool.
All right, JD and Stacy, game on here. K98 Talk, game on. Part of that Conservative Commandos Radio Network on that WNJC 1360 AM.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in.
Listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works.
President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before.
Did someone say green?
Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind?
Now, do you say good things about me on the show?
No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much.
The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation.
Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo?
I got a pen. I can veto that, you know.
I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it.
Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either.
That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. If it's Sunday, it's Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
We're your cure from your weekly news hangover.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Welcome back to all you political freaks, geeks, and back alley sneaks. JD and Stacy here. Game on, part of that Conservative Commandos radio network. Tonight on K98 Talk with our very cerebral and slow post-debate special here. Summing up what went on with the hoopoles that are left running for president. I mean, I think it's pretty much all but over. Stacy, you were making the point before we were going to break about more specificity, you thought, in this debate?
Well, I thought that, again, it was a much more subdued debate. There wasn't kind of the shock and awe of, oh my God, he said what? That we've had in every other debate, which, as Lou said, we're policy wonks. I was kind of glad to hear a little more specificity. But I thought specifically around the budgetary implications, and I actually think that Chris Wallace tried to do this in the last debate, but I think the candidates themselves actually did it in this debate, talking about Trump's claims about what he was going to do as far as being able to keep Social Security the way it is today, not cut benefits for anyone, basically other than, cutting a couple of agencies, not saying much, really comparing those cost savings to what reality looks like and the fiscal cliff and this financial situation we're actually in with entitlements and long term with the budget, and the candidates themselves being able to combat some of what he was saying. I mean, when you start talking about Social Security and Social Security reform and the things we have to do to prevent, I think the statistic was in less than 10 years, only 17% of our budget will be available for things that are not Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. That's terrifying. And the other candidates putting out solutions and talking about what they would actually do to fix that problem, as opposed to Trump saying, I'm sorry, I almost said Drumpf. I'm just going to grow GDP.
It's roll with it.
Overall, Social Security is not a problem that is just driven by the gross domestic product. There's a lot of other things that go into it. And he had no answer when he was challenged on those very specific cost savings and what needed to happen in order for that program to be preserved in some form for future generations.
You see it the same way, Lou?
Yeah, I think the same thing. And I think that the foreign policy comparisons were pretty much, that was another place that he really got owned, was on foreign policy, which is, I think, that what we were talking about when we were going into that last break. His ideas about foreign policy, international relations, and particularly national security and the way it should happen, or I don't know. It's like they come from Highlight magazine.
Well, it's not just that, but when you hear him talking about things like the foreign aid that we give, and one of the specific comments he made that made me just look at the TV and go, what? Was we give all this money to South Korea, and anytime that hoople head over North Korea does something, we go running over there. Well, yeah, because that hoople head North Korea is crazy.
And it's a war that's never ended. We've talked about this on For Whom the Bell Tolls. That war is still ongoing. There's an armistice.
Mm-hmm.
The war never ended. The two countries are still at war. So, yeah, Donald, get your foreign policy and international relations straight. Learn a little bit about national security.
But he's talking about not supporting the armistice between North and South Korea, or supporting South Korea in defending itself from North Korea, whether it be just a show of strength or whether it be the acknowledgement that the U.S. supports South Korea, because that's how he's going to cut costs.
And when you don't support the armistice between North and South Korea, then we're at war again. They're at war again. And that's ridiculous.
Well, and he was given the statistic that foreign aid is 1% of the total federal budget. And he's saying, oh, well, that's where my money to save Social Security and not have to cut anything and be everything to everybody is going to come from.
Right.
And he never acknowledged the fact that, gee, Donald, that's not a lot of money.
No, what's that going to save us like $1,000 on the deficit every day or something? It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be like you and I cutting back by like 25 cents a day, saying we're going to save our household budget. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm going to create a huge retirement account by putting $0.25 a day into a 401k. Not going to happen.
Well, and it just, to me, again, it's all of the things that people have not had an opportunity to question or not had an opportunity to see the fact, because you just didn't get to that level of detail in any of the previous debates. They were not challenged on their assumptions. And again, I thought Chris Wallace did an excellent job, actually put graphics up on the screen, very colorful graphics. Here's what you said you're going to do with Social Security. Here's how much the cuts you've said you're going to make are actually going to save. Where does the rest come in? All we hear is fraud and abuse, fraud and abuse, fraud and abuse. Okay. What does that look like? And I realize some of it you don't understand until you get there, but there's never anything behind it but that. And I thought Cruz did a really good job of deflecting that tonight when he said, I have a detailed plan, and the reason I'm willing to put out a detailed plan is because I know I'm going to make people angry, because I'm talking about cutting their stuff. There's lobbyists that care about this stuff, and there's people in D.C. that care about the stuff that I'm telling them I'm going to do away with, but these are the things I've committed to do. And I think that is a much better answer than I'm going to cut fraud and abuse.
But why get specific when what you've been selling so far has been working?
That's a good point.
Well, but I mean, to some extent, the way that this has gone before and the significant coverage that Donald gets due to ratings and everything else, you don't hear that exchange, and you don't hear the detail behind the other folks' stuff. I mean, even when the ratings have been great and they've all got a ton of visibility, it's all this bombastic, nasty stuff. It has nothing to do with what their solutions are to actually fix the problems that we're facing. And honestly, you know, I'm pretty sure at this point it's almost too late outside of nobody getting 1237 before we hit the convention.
So you think it's going to the convention?
I won't say yes.
I don't.
I won't say yes. I would say I'm hoping it's going to the convention.
All right, 2 minutes left before we punch out. Predictions for the rest of the primary.
Predictions for the rest of the primary. I heard Cruz's pack withdrew from Florida, so I think it'll be closer between Rubio and Trump than they've said. I've heard Rubio is doing very well in early voting. You know, Ohio, I honestly believe Kasich's going to take it. Beyond that, I think it's between Cruz and Trump.
Lou?
I absolutely agree with Stacey in Florida. Hope that she's right on Ohio, and agree with the rest of what she said as well.
Rick?
All right. My prediction, I think it's going to wind up going all the way to the convention, because I think Rubio will get Florida. Kasich will likely get Ohio, only because who the heck can be a politician and not win in their home states? Which will split the votes well enough where we'll get to a convention with somebody getting close to the mark but not quite there. And I think that will make things even worse. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll make it worse. But I agree.
Public perception will make it worse.
Yeah.
Nothing can make it worse, but we want to thank Miss Bell River, that Lou, that Ricky Ticky Tavi, Rick Robinson, both from K98 Talk, for joining Stacey and I tonight on our post-debate special. Game On, part of that Conservative Commando Radio Network here on that K98 Talk. We got a bigger card tonight so we can all fit in it, so we're going to get the keys.
Right.
Lou, Rick, tell everybody where they can find you on the show.
Thursday nights, 8 p.m., Sunday noon.
Rick?
Monday through Friday, 11 Eastern. America Off the Rails. Follow me on AOTR_host on Twitter.
Stacey.
Follow me on @ScottsFire. Stay away from my trolls.
You guys know where to find me. I'm easy to kill. Till next time, kids.
Night.
I'm looking for you, you Occupy freaks with your glitter bombs. Bring it on! Bring on the glitter.
Glitter bombs.
Everything has changed. Everything has changed in the last few years. Conservatives used to take it, and we're not taking it anymore.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com. If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
We out, Rick?